Ring of Honor World Champion crowned tonight at AEW, and we get Jon Moxley and the Blackpool Combat Club arriving, and a warning to the whole locker room as a rebellion, mini rebellion actually happens. We're going to go over everything in San Jose, California. We'll do a little briefly because it was a brief show tonight. It had some matches, but there wasn't anything that I felt like was ultimately must-see TV. We did have some little sprinkles in there of things that you may want to watch, but let's go ahead and get in. I'm your host, Brian, the Hype Ballard, back at it again, covering Aew Dynamite, October 16, 2024. Your commentators on the evening: Excalibur, Nigel McGuinness, Tony Schiavone. Let's get in. We open up at the beginning with Moxley's Reign of Terror. We got the locker room waiting outside with weapons in hand. We got them waiting. We got them just kind of hanging out, waiting for the Blackpool Combat Club to make its arrival. Will they show up? Well, of course they will, but at what point and how impactful will it be? Remember, the story was set with Orange Cassidy and friends looking to head up the locker room as terror has been going all through the system, and Moxley gave a warning last week. We then go to Adam Hangman Page in the ring. He gives us a little bit of recap, really, of Jay White and how he beat him, and Juice Robinson and how he hung him out to dry, and Austin Gunn getting attacked backstage randomly, and then ultimately Colton Gunn getting an attack on a Hangman here. But that's really ultimately what we get. Before we get our first matchup, which is Sammy Guevara versus Shelton Benjamin. Gotta say, I like Shelton Benjamin. He does great work. He's going to be 2-0 after this night against Sammy Guevara. Last week he beat Leo Rush in what I thought was a really great match on Dynamite. Here, Sammy Guevara proving that he can still get the job done and ultimately compete with Shelton Benjamin. But Shelton Benjamin does get the victory after a nice little super kick spot off of the top turnbuckle. Kind of a little back on Raw in those days when he made his way. But ultimately, we do then get a running power slam, exploder power slam, if you will, for Shelton Benjamin for the 1, the 2, and the 3. Nice fast pace, got the job done, didn't overstay its welcome, and got us through the opening matchup of AEW. We then get a lot of backstage quick segments tonight. We get one with Mariah May and Anna Jay. If you know, Anna Jay is going to be competing for Mariah May's title. Battle of the Belts had something to do with that over the weekend. But Mariah May throwing her luggage out in the hallway. Ultimately, Anna Jay looking to attack her. But we get the Fallen Angel, Christopher Daniels, coming in and stopping, getting in between the ladies. We then go a little bit further in the show. We get Will Ospreay, Kyle Fletcher. These two are heading towards a showdown at Full Gear, but they were tag team partners. They were friends. Don Callis is the snake in the grass in between these two, and Kyle Fletcher is looking to shed that skin of the snake and prove that he is no longer in the shadow of Will Ospreay. That is the gist of what we get. The why, Kyle, why? Why did you portray him? Don Callis plays the great manager, as he always does, but Kyle Fletcher taking out some buzz clippers, and he's buzzing his head. I know some of you ladies were mad about that, but he buzzed his head right down the middle, proving the point that he is no longer in the shadow. And we get a post-scene, post-Dynamite online of Kyle Fletcher finishing up his buzz cut. I'll add that link right here for you guys on my short with a little bit of barbershop humor to it. But ultimately then we do go to our first tag team matchup of the night. And it's going to be a very, very, very quick squash tag match with some enhancement talent between Brian Cage, Lance Archer, the power tag team that they are, with a pinfall win with a choke slam and powerbomb combination. Ironically over a tag team that looks almost like the almost newly re-debuted War Raiders of WWE Raw, or a generic version of the War Raiders, if you will. But we do get a powerhouse tag team dominating in a little subtle way with a jab at the competition. But I like the Lance Archer, Brian Cage tag team, power tag team. I don't mind a quick match like this. This is not ultimately what really kind of steered me away from Dynamite tonight. I actually didn't mind this quick matchup because we're building the story of how dominant this tag team is. The tag team division needed a power tag team like these two, and I like this combination. Two guys that I've liked their work for a long time in Cage and Archer, and I just want to see what they do a little bit further down the line. Speaking of further down the line, we do get some of the showdown matchup here with Chris Jericho, the Learning Tree, versus Mark Briscoe for the Ring of Honor World Championship in a War Ladder match. So ultimately, a World War Ladder match, we get ladders, tables, chairs, oh my, all kinds of stuff in the ring for them to play around with. But we do get this set up with Mark Briscoe in a big feud with Chris Jericho. Jericho even insulting the formerly passed and deceased Jay Briscoe, which made Mark take it to another level, made Mark put the title on the line blindly, and made Jericho take his area of opportunity and become the new Ring of Honor World Champion. Ultimately, we do get Big Bill arriving on the scene in this matchup, helping get Jericho up to the top and grabbing the belt. Jericho wins, retrieving the title, becoming your new, again, Ring of Honor World Champion. Post-match, we do get Jericho's longtime rival Ishii making his entrance and staring down Jericho. This most likely to be the first title defense of Jericho. Where am I at with this? Mark Briscoe did have his run of Ring of Honor World Champion. I thought it was nice. I thought it was nice that they gave him a little bit of a bit with it. But it is time to move on. And this gives Jericho the Ring of Honor World Championship, gives him some work to do. That's what Jericho does now as the veteran of the sport. He works with the FTW title. He works with the Ring of Honor title. I would be interested just to kind of see what he does with it on the side brand, but ultimately keeps him out of the main event picture, but still gives him something to do. I could even see a showdown eventually with Big Bill and Jericho for this very Ring of Honor World Championship title. This has been playing out on Dynamite. I think it could play out a little bit further down the line towards the end of the year. We then get into the ring. We get Adam Cole making his entrance. He's really trying to stir it up and play the good guy with the MJF scenario from almost a year ago. But we get the Undisputed Kingdom that shows up. They talk about how proud they are in Adam Cole, their leader, and then ultimately talks about his rehab, and then ultimately offers to take down MJF, a 4-on-1 beatdown of the Undisputed Kingdom. But MJF appears on the Contron, and he talks via getting a massage being interrupted. And he talks about how he will not be anywhere near on Dynamite in the upcoming weeks. But if they can win 3 matches in a row, he'll give one of them a match at Full Gear. It's another story. Keeps MJF out of the title picture, but gives him a little bit of wrap-up. I hope we get a little bit of a payoff with him and Adam Cole. I don't know what I expect out of this match. It is a little confusing for me because MJF was clearly the babyface and Cole the heel, turning on him, but it's flipped the tide a little bit. Is it 1 year too late? Do you guys still care? I do appreciate that AEW is trying to close the loop, so to speak, and move ahead on it. So we then get another Enhancement Talent squash quick match. House of Black defeating their opponents very quickly with a pinfall at the Blackout from Buddy Murphy. So ultimately, we do get a quick matchup here. This is where I kind of felt that 2 of these match types on this one show might have been a little much. I did enjoy the Archer Cage dynamic, but House of Black to me is a very established team already, and I don't know if they need the likes of these kind of quick matches to make them look strong. I actually think it can counter and make them look a little bit weaker going against such, opponents. But I guess it does give the local guys some chances, but we got so many guys on the roster, I feel like we could build towards a little more. Ultimately, we do get a setup for a match with Adam Cole next week, but we're just going to set and move on ahead with Queen Aminata versus Camille. this is going to be building towards a storyline with Mercedes Monet. We get some whips to the corners. Aminata out at a 1 count. We get some elbows. We get ultimately a back and forth, you know, kind of the power versus the technician. And then we get a Lotus Lock at one point, a Dragon Sleeper, but Camille rolls through, clobbers her with an elbow. Aminata straightens up and fires an elbow of her own in return. We get a duck, an Alabama Slam denied. Camille tosses up and reverses to a Hurricane Rana. Queen, Aminata with a Hurricane Rana, 1 and a 2. Ultimately, Aminata kicks out of the Argentine Powerbomb. Camille wins by pinfall with, boom, a DDT. Post-match, Chris Statlander shows up with Camille, or squares up with Camille. Mercedes lands on a cheap attack on Statlander, but she doesn't flinch. No selling like a Hulk Hogan moment. And Chris rose up and holds up her own, and Monet trips her up. And Camille hits the DDT once again on her. We then get an in-ring segment with Kip Sabian and the Patriarchy. And then we get Hook arriving in the arena, wondering who attacked his father. And he's told Renee he figured it out. And he's in the ring right now, and he's going to whoop their ass. Hook makes his way in. There's Nick Wayne. There's Mama Wayne. Be funny if it was Mama Wayne that took out Taz. Please don't do that. We do have Christian Cage, Kip Sabian as the usual suspects here. But we then get, ultimately, the kill switch on Hook from the Patriarchy on the contract case, leaving us to wonder another week which one of these guys it's going to be. And speaking of guys it's going to be, we do have Jack Perry and the Young Bucks, the Elite, taking on a trios match against Daniel Garcia and Private Party, who are fighting for the right of AEW and sticking up. They're really pushing Daniel Garcia right now, looking to try to hold their own. We ultimately do get a little back and forth tag match in out action. Daniel Garcia and Private Party win by pinfall with a small package, getting kind of the cheap win. And Isaiah on Matthew Jackson. Post-match, Private Party calls out the Young Bucks, says they proved they got their number and they can beat them. They want a rematch. Ultimately, the Bucks don't deny, but then they say Private Party will break up if they get their rematch and they lose. The Bucks are in for it. Matthew and Nicholas Jackson agree, and we'll get that matchup next week. We are feeling like that's the end of the show, but wait, it's not over yet. Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta and the Blackpool Combat Club are in. They beat down Private Party and Daniel Garcia, and they knock them right out. Moxley drags Chuck Taylor down the ramp and puts a chair around his leg. Friend, the best friend of Orange Cassidy, but his leg, and Claudio moves the chair around his neck and gives it a stomp. Orange Cassidy in to check on his best friend with the medics, and ultimately looking angrier and angrier. But let's get into our final thoughts. Guys, you like AEW, hit that like button. Thank you, and ahead. Let's get into our final thoughts. We survived another week without Swerve, building towards a feud in Hurt Syndicate. But did it hurt the show not having such an impact player, if you will, on the field? Also, Mox finally showing up towards the end just to make his way and do some damage at the very end. But the case in point is what's going to go and where's it going to go from there? I know we're building up Orange Cassidy in the story in the background there of, can he evolve? My question is, can he evolve his character to go along with this storyline with the Blackpool Combat Club? Maybe Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy, among other AEW originals, can step up and challenge the new boss that is Jon Moxley and their AEW World Champ. Well, guys, I'm going to head out of here for now. Thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe. I'm out.